Alright everyone, I have a really important announcement to make. First of all, excuse the bathrobe, I have like 102-degree fever and I think I'm dying, but anyway, we're sitting at $102,206, and as I said, we were going to do something special to celebrate breaking 100K. So we've gotten a lot of questions about this, a whole lot of people interested in this, basically like throughout the entire duration of the Adventures in Game Development series, but we are going to be releasing ESToolkit and ESGamma, our engine, with every purchase of Elysian Shadows. We're going to open that up so that you can create your own user-generated content within Elysian Shadows, and you can even use our engine and our tools to create your own games as well. So once we really solidify the creative vision for what would eventually become Elysian Shadows as you know it today, we set off to create our own development suite, which is our toolkit and our engine from scratch, basically. So it's written to be optimized for handling 2D kind of games, and if you've seen like the latest videos in the Elysian Shadows, you'll know that not only that, but we've moved it to where it's 2D/3D. We have dynamic lighting and physics and stuff, and this entire development suite is really tailored to making the next generation of 2D games. And what's cool about that is it's also highly cross-platform. It runs on iPhone, Android, Windows, Mac, Linux, Ouya, and the Sega Dreamcast, and that's really cool too, because I don't know if you guys noticed, and we certainly didn't expect it, but the majority of our sales for Elysian Shadows right now are coming from the Sega Dreamcast. So we've really been building up a lot of steam for that and a lot of steam for the console, and we think releasing these tools and allowing you guys to basically be able to create your own Dreamcast games with this would be something huge and something big that the Dreamcast community doesn't currently have. So that's something in particular that we're extremely excited to do. It's kind of like our way of giving back. I don't know. Maybe we'll resurrect the Dreamcast. So the first tool in our development suite is called ESToolkit, or ESTk for short. Basically, this is what allows us to create our worlds and our levels for Elysian Shadows, and it would also allow you to create worlds to add on to ES, or even you could use it to create your own levels in your own game using our engine. It has a very powerful tile-based map creator. It supports a whole bunch of nifty features for that, like tile flipping, tile rotation, staggered tile selection. Along those lines, you can also create and edit game objects, entities that aren't tile-based. You can manage dynamic lights. You can set up rigid bodies. Basically, you can set up the entire environment that you interact with, and you can set dialogue, NPCs, enemies, and things like that, and it doesn't even require code to do this. In addition to that, ESToolkit also has some really powerful built-in tools for sprite sheet management. For example, you can move sprites around within the sheet, you can open up other textures or other sheets and import tiles into your sheet. It also has tools for managing texture compression, for optimizing for video RAM or for performance on, say, mobile devices or the Sega Dreamcast. ESToolkit also directly interfaces with Sprite Lamp, which is a really powerful tool that was just developed that allows you to take pixel art or sprite-based textures and define pixel-perfect normal maps which allow you to light the object, a 2D sprite, in a full 3D manner, pixel perfectly. And that's really what gives Elysian Shadows its next-gen look. That's really what makes the lighting engine stand out, and that's all handled internally within ESTk and seamlessly integrated with Sprite Lamp. ESTk was also developed not only to be useful in 2D, but it also has tools that allow you to define tiles as though they're cubic. So you can define a tile as being different faces of the cube, and what this has allowed us to do in Elysian Shadows is it's allowed us to represent a fully 2D game in 3D space. So it's actually three-dimensional, and you can dynamically pan and move the camera around and experience the world in 2D or 3D. ESToolkit also allows you to seamlessly play through your levels as you're creating them. There's a drop-down menu that lets you select which platform you'd like to run your level on, which platform you'd like to invoke the engine on. And, you know, whether it be Android, iPhone, Dreamcast, PC, Windows, Mac, basically you select which one you want, and then when you push play, it sends the engine over if it's a remote device, or it invokes it locally if you're running it on your PC, and it loads your current level, your current settings and everything, and you're able to play through the levels and the environments as you're creating them, which is a very useful thing to be able to do as you're building levels. Elysian Shadows Gamma, or ESGamma is what we call it, basically it's my life's work. It's the actual engine that runs Elysian Shadows and runs on the devices. And as I said, it is highly multi-platform. It currently supports Windows, Mac, Linux, iOS, Android, Ouya, Dreamcast, and we're very much in the future planning to support all of the modern consoles and handhelds, especially depending on our stretch goals on our Kickstarter. But not only is it very multi-platform, but it's hand optimized to take advantage of a lot of the low-level stuff that each platform has to offer. A lot of like unique capabilities that maybe the Dreamcast has, or certain vector instructions that the iPhone and Android have. So it's very optimized in that respect. The design for ESGamma was actually highly influenced by the Unity 3D engine. I actually used to pay my bills as a Unity 3D developer, developing with the engine, and I was always really impressed by the software architecturally. I really liked the concept of like the game objects and the components, and I felt like it really made a lot of sense from a scripting perspective. And that's exactly how it works in Elysian Shadows. You can create game objects with attachable colliders, animations, rigid body attributes, and things like that, to where if you have any experience in Unity or a game object component engine, you should easily be able to pick up the ESGamma engine. And just like in Unity, it's fully extensible via behavior components, in that you can add things that weren't supported by the engine through C# or Unity script. The only difference is that in Elysian Shadows we've opted to use Lua, which is a very lightweight, fast scripting language which runs well on embedded devices like the Dreamcast and mobile devices. So through Lua scripting and Lua behaviors, basically you can implement anything, whether our engine really supported it or not. It's fully extensible, just like Unity. So in order to realize our very ambitious vision for Elysian Shadows as a next generation 2D RPG, we've really had to go out of our way to implement a whole bunch of features that I don't think you'll find in other 2D engines or frameworks, and a lot of these almost killed us to do. The first thing you'll notice graphically is that we have a dynamic lighting engine, and it's not 2D, it's actually a full 3D dynamic lighting engine that supports point lights, spotlights, and directional lights. And the shadows cast by these lights on some platforms are pixel perfect, and on other platforms they use shadow volumes. In addition to that, we support bump mapping and specular highlights, which makes the objects look very realistic and very badass, and the light intensity varies based on how you look at them, as though it's actually a truly 3D game. Our audio engine is fully positional in 3D, which means that if you're standing on a bridge in your 2D game and someone under you is growling at you, you'll actually hear it in 3 dimensions with surround sound. It'll sound like it's coming below you. We also have a full-fledged rigid body physics engine, which allows you to pick up, carry, throw, push, pull, shatter objects, and interact with them in a completely realistic manner. You can give every object its own mass, moment of inertia, damping, all kinds of attributes to model it in a physically accurate manner. Then we have a very advanced particle engine as well that's fully 3D and allows you to do all kinds of really cool special effects. And same with the rigid body engine, the forces applied to these particles can be fully created via Lua scripts. So you can have like gravity, a black hole, wind, anything like that affecting particles and physics within your environment. Just to kind of give you a quick example of how powerful this is, basically with one line of code you can create a force generator which applies a downward force to the scene, and boom, you can go from a top-down 2D game to a two-dimensional platformer in one line of Lua script. So for the Ouya, iPhone, and Android, you can run the engine over standard USB, and you can play your creations like that. For the Dreamcast, we currently support the broadband adapter, but it's kind of rare, and the coder's cable. Another thing that we're adding is support for the SD card reader for the Sega Dreamcast. This is something that was just recently developed in the homebrew scene, and it has a lot of potential for user-created content on the Dreamcast. Basically, it plugs in here, and you can load your own levels and stuff in the engine just like that and create your own Dreamcast games. Kind of really excited to see what you guys can do with it. And then of course, if you don't have any of these peripherals, obviously you can just burn a disc with your levels on it, and most of you should know that 90% of Dreamcasts don't even require a mod disc to do this, so This could really be big for the Dreamcast scene. So as the final update, we're sitting at $102,251, which is over 2/3 of the way to our goal. Our goal is 150K with 13 days to go. I also wanted to mention that we're doing the Ouya Free the Games Fund, which means that Ouya will match our goal of 150K, which means that we will actually be funded for up to 300K, which is really badass. And we've been approved to also co-release Elysian Shadows on Steam and even the Sega Dreamcast during our period of exclusivity. So we're really excited for that, and that's really cool of them to allow us to do that. Finally, please check us out on Kickstarter. Let us know what you think. Hopefully pledge. And don't forget, we're still on Steam Greenlight, and we're doing really well on there. I have a feeling we'll probably be greenlit fairly shortly. But if you don't mind, go there, check it out, and we could definitely use your yes vote and hopefully a nice comment, because some of the ones on there aren't that nice. Till next time, we'll probably try to do a live stream next week with updates and a Q&A session. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments.